here's what we'll do, right? We'll go into episode 3. We'll start with our likes and dislikes. Yeah, I guess you go ahead and start it. You can start with either. You can choose whether you want to start with your likes or your dislikes. We could kind of go in between because I think it flows better.
We can do likes this time because my dislikes are kind of more in the middle of the episode. So yeah, we'll start with the likes on this one. All right, so I like how this episode really puts the pressure on. Like, you can see like things are really starting to ramp up. Starting with the issue that happened when Clown grabbed the hood, and then John comes in and straight slams her head on the table, and I'm like, all right, stuff is really starting to heat up. Like, it's getting intense.
It actually shows you the relationship that they had in the group beforehand, before Riri Williams even gets there. There was something. Well, me and I were talking about episode 3. I might as well say it, right? The dude that Riri is replacing. Her name is so like
Eric Andre.
But yeah, Eric Andre, his character, right? He obviously in the episode it comes up that he was murdered, and the police come to Riri Williams's house and interrogate. Well, not interrogate, but they question her and her mom just to see, what might have happened, because Riri Williams was the last one to call him because she was looking for some help on something. And with that being said, it just goes to show the type of relationship that they had in the group, and that the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? There's a hierarchy there in that group, and that dude just doesn't respect the people that's there. I mean, I think he doesn't respect the people that's really there. I think that anybody would have just came up to him and be like, "Yo,
John,
take the hood off," like, or just
like John doesn't respect. Or like,
John doesn't. My bad. Yeah, John, the dude, the tall one. I guess his name is John, right? Yeah. John doesn't respect like most of them in the group, or he just he doesn't care as much.
Yeah, it only seems like he cares about Parker.
Right.
Everybody else is just pieces and like replaceable.
Yeah, they're pawns. They're really just pawns, and like for their end goal, whatever their end goal is, we don't know. We don't know yet, right. But I guess I'll go ahead and say one of my likes. I guess one of the main things that I did like so far is that cape. I think the cape itself is cool. I think I really like the guy who's playing Parker, right?
Yeah, very good.
But that cape, yeah, he's a very, and I love him in Hamilton, and then he was in he's in Transformers too. Then in that most, I think it was the most recent one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But one of them shits, and he's doing a really good job as Parker, and I like the actual, like, the hood itself seems like a character. Like, that's when the personification of the cape is good. It's like Doctor Strange's cape, like it's its own character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that's how I'm seeing the cape now that we're dealing with. It's not personified as much, but it is definitely, it has its own aura, like literally.
I get what you're saying, because like the storyline is really driven by like we need to figure out what's going on with it. So like I get what you mean.
So let's go with you got another like.
Yeah. So Xavier seems to be one of Riri's ways back to the heroic path, as well as Natalie. As you can see, he's like, when she bought him the new headphones, he was like, all right, where'd you get this from? Like, what's going on? Like, this seem kind of sketchy. And then he also told her the reason that I didn't really care for the headphones as well is because these used to be Natalie's, and every dent and damage that's done to it creates character within it.
Foreshadowing, yeah, for sure. It's definitely foreshadowing for obviously her path. That's gonna be, she's going down the path of a villain / anti-hero right now, and then she's gonna obviously come back to the heroic side. But yeah, no, I agree. That's a cool plot. Yeah, it's a cool plot. I do like his character as well. I think him being the moral compass for her that's a good choice. It's a good choice, because they could have easily just made her this girl boss, yada yada. It shows that, so that if I'm not mistaken, he's not like her. Like, are they attracted to each other, or are they related?
I don't think they're related, and I can't really.
They're not related.
I can't really gauge where their relationship
not
is
enough info
yet.
there.
Yeah, I don't think they showed it enough yet there.
I would assume that they're not related, and that they're romantically interested into each other. Yeah, so that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. That he's her moral compass. I like that.
You got another?
I would say, so I think, mine, I have a lot of like open thoughts.
All right, my next one is I think you alluded to this one before. We're still talking about season 2, something you liked in season 3. I feel like this is what it was. I think showing the panic attack that Riri was having is a good touch to connect viewers that, we have superheroes or whatever, but everyone has very real problems as well.
In Chicago,
and I'm showing on sight.
It don't matter who, you can have a Hulk out there. Them shootouts is gonna happen. They're gonna happen.
This next one, I know you're gonna have a lot to say about this one. Hey, I like how I like the inclusion of Obadiah Stane. You know, it's a big callback to.
Oh yeah, we could ease into
projects.
that one.
Yeah. And it was crazy that Joe ended up actually being his son. Joe was just an alias, and he's actually Ezekiel Stane. This connects to Iron Man in a good way, not a bad one. And
yes, it does.
There's two ways I see this going. One, I see Ezekiel staying in Riri's corner to help with like suit upgrades, her learning more about technology. But also it could go the other way, because the mention of, hey, this isn't going to get me in trouble with using the biomesh and it being traced back to me, he could also become a villain. Just like he doesn't want to become like his dad, but the fact that she could possibly get him in trouble, I think he could become one of her villains.
That's exact. So look, when it comes to the whole Obadiah Stane thing, I said you could ask I could bring my girl on camera right now. The first thing I said in episode 2, when we first saw him, I was like, something's off about him. He does mention his father, but he doesn't mention him in like a I hate this guy kind of way. He just mentions him like in passing, and I'm like, the only reason he would mention his father is if he's significant. And I'm like, it would be crazy if he has all this tech and he's so tech savvy if he's Obadiah Stane's son, because but I also said to her, I said, this is too much of a coincidence. It's probably not, because it's too much of a coincidence. It's too readable, but I mean, it happened, right? And it's not bad.
I didn't even notice. So you picked up on that, but I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
but
like the third, it was early.
The third episode, I picked up on like a lot of this stuff though, and like kind of foreshadowed it.
Like him being on the black market and being like just his character. I think at first I didn't like his character, because I'm like, oh, here we go, another white male that they just hate, and they're gonna make him seem weak and make him seem pathetic, and she's gonna be the girl boss and teach him how to, but they turned it around where it's like he's like that because he has daddy issues, right? Like he has daddy issues. He doesn't know how to really be the man that, because Riri has to tell him like, man up. That's pretty much what she tells him. She tells him like, man up, and sometimes you got to step to those people that are blackmailing you. You know what I'm saying? And he actually ends up blackmailing her to reverse it. But it is I like the way that the character is being written. I like the way that this is what I like storytelling. I like to look deeper into the the character and things like that, and I think they're doing a good job of showing a son of somebody who was, I don't want to say he was necessarily, he was evil, he was a villain, but he had his reasons to do what he thought was right. He was wrong, but he did. And I think this kid, I don't want to say kid, but his son, I do think that, so this goes back to what you were saying about the one of two ways, right? One way you think, like when you're watching the beginning of the third episode, you're thinking like, or even like towards the end of the second one, you're like, he's going to help Riri and be her guy in the chair, right? He's going to be the one that helps her upgrade the suit, get her out there, upgrade the AI, things like that, right? But I don't think Riri needs that. So this is what I think is more plausible for the second option. I think she doesn't need any of that because she's incredibly intelligent herself. She created the AI herself. He even mentions, this is something else too. I think this is what I was talking about before. But he mentions that the AI itself would, if you scan in your brain the way that she did, it would turn into goop. Right, and this goes into another theory that I have that has to do with the magic element, right? But back to what I was saying about Stane. I think he's going to be a great addition. I think that he's going to become a villain for sure.
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm weighing more towards the villain side, because you're seeing like shades of it, like how he started to blackmail her, as well as like
his characteristics. They started to, he started seeming a little off, a little like, even the way he was looking at her, like
when he pulled up on her to say like, we're gonna meet at this time, like his mannerism was like kind of villainous. Yeah.
And now he's gonna think. Remember, he said to her, he's like, in this moment right here on the screen, he was talking to her, and he was just like looking at her, like it looked kind of evil. You know what I'm saying? And then he was saying, we're friends, right? And to him, it might mean the world for her to be his friend, but when they track it back to him, he's gonna be like, wait, she was never my friend to begin with. She really used me.
Yep, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna turn him into, he's probably gonna break out of prison, whatever, the regular villain stuff, and then or wherever, if they arrest him, he's probably gonna escape or something and end up hunting her down. I think realistically that's gonna be the cliffhanger for the end of the season. We're only getting 6 episodes, right?
And then like look at this as well. Like you see, do you know how like crazy you gotta be to straight up tear your arm up and try to throw something in there, like without thinking about it?
I was just like, wait, he's gonna be, I think it's foreshadowing, right? I think that's the foreshadowing for who he's gonna become.
Exactly.
he might become like some type of, I don't know if there's a character already, like, because I'm not too familiar with Iron Man comics. He might take the character of a old villain that might have became a cyborg, or replaced their limbs with, because he mentions a lot about replacing limbs. That's another thing that repeats a lot. He keeps talking about replacing the stomach lining so that you can cure all types of stomach issues, replacing obviously by limbs and things like that. He keeps talking about stuff like that.
I'm sure there's a comic book
telling.
connection. I'm sure there's like a comic book connection that we could look up or something.
I'm gonna do some research after. We definitely gotta take a look at that, because I would like to see where they go with it and let them just tell the story, but I gotta know, like, you know what I'm saying, if we doing this, I gotta know.
And then so another one, Riri finally revealed why she built the iron suit, because they kept asking her like, why'd you build the suit? Because I can. She finally revealed that actually why she did it is because Gary was a big fan of Iron Man.
Because her dad. Well, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, Gary.
I didn't even catch that.
She told him that Gary was a big fan of Tony Stark, so that's why she got.
My son was probably on my back when I was supposed to be listening to that, because he was up the whole time I was trying to watch. But one thing I did catch about Gary though is that another reason why she says because I can a lot, like whenever people ask her why would you do this or what, she says because I can. She says that because obviously Gary said it to her when she asked Gary about the car.
Yeah.
When he was building the car, that and she's like, why would you can replace this, you can replace that, you can just upgrade the car, and he's like, no, I'm good, like I'm okay with working on the car the way it is and fixing it to my satisfaction. I'm okay with that. And then she's like, why? He's like, because I can. And that's why. And now but this goes to show like just how great dads are in these children's lives, bro. Like little things like that, like you could say one little thing, it'll stick with your kid or a kid for the rest of their life. And that's one thing I love that, man.
That's all I have for my likes. If you can finish off your likes, then we can get into the dislikes.
I'd say, once again, I will say I liked that they ran into the problem of, like, towards the end of the episode when they ran into the problem, John kept telling Parker, you don't know this guy, we don't have enough information on him, he's too clean, we don't know what we're going to run into. Then when they get there, obviously Riri has her objective, she's the reason why it went sour. And I mean, that's the craziest part, that she was the reason that it went sour. I think that was a big part of it, and it's going to probably come out eventually. But I do think that that whole sequence of them breaking in, thinking they're about to get it done like they did the other jobs, I think it's nice that they, it's not that easy. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate seeing when like heists and shit like this go so perfect and so easy. They showing like, listen, you thought that it was gonna be easy. We told you. John said, you might run into some problems, and that's exactly what happened. Yep. The contingencies that they didn't have in place, and
it happened directly to him. Like my dislike is kind of alike as well. I didn't really like that they had really leave John to die, but at the same time, it does lead to a like for me. Like it really showed that like that's not really her character, and you see how she started to break down about it. Like that didn't sit right with her. It happened that way.
Wait, you think that? Well, I do think that was a reason why she was breaking down, but it was a multitude. I do think the thing she was more worried about was the nav mesh or the biomesh. I think the biomesh being left behind was one of them.
I think it's both. I think it was a combination. Like
yeah, of course. Like she was just just fought the dude.
Yeah, and you can see like from even the previous episodes, how when Parker shot the guy, she was like, I don't like that. She was basically saying like she wasn't okay with that. So I can tell, like, especially her being connected to him, she could have saved him. So it's like that really hit her hard too. Yeah,
that makes sense. I do think she's definitely like suffering from a lot of panic attacks and things like that, which most likely at some point she probably will overcome. And that also goes back to like with the open thoughts, like why didn't Wakanda help her?
You know how they are with that
I
stuff.
think we can't no, even... but that's the biggest loophole. I wanted to save that for the end, but I mean, like, why didn't Wakanda? But it's like, if we talk about it, it's just it brings down the show. I think it brings down the show, but it's unnecessary. I think that when it comes to comics, sometimes you gotta shut certain parts of your brain off, and you gotta like say, just like because they all exist in the same world, right? It's like if Spider-Man is fighting Doc Ock today, and Doc Ock just destroyed a building, right? You don't think the rest of the Avengers are going to show up and be like, yo, listen, shut this down.
Some of the reasoning for that is because like the amount of time it would take to add on all these characters, like although we all know they're there, that is a tough thing.
There's reason for it. Yeah. There's a reason for it, but it's one of those things where it's like, why why didn't Wakanda help this girl, bro? Like, they have all the resources. They could have gave her a better suit than Iron Man.
But they did. So they, if you remember in Black Panther 2, there was an explanation as to why she took the suit back, and I think that's kind of part of the explanation.
Loophole. Yeah, it's a loophole.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's valid. I guess that's valid enough. But even then, it's like you'd rather struggle like this and become a villain than to ask for help from Wakanda. That doesn't make sense. Like, I'm pretty sure you have Shuri's number. Like y'all just saved Wakanda and fought Atlanteans, bro. Like, I'm sure that you have her number.
If they would do it, they would save that for season finale type.
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
They wouldn't just put
or even a movie. Like, it would be some type of movie shit where she'd meet back up with them and they'd give her like the best possible suit or whatever the case may be, like things like that. I think that's why I said it's grounded. They're trying to keep it grounded. It makes enough sense.
Yep, that's definitely what's going on.
So a theory I had, right, and it could be off, it could be a little off, but it's fun, right? I think that the AI is somewhat inspired by the magic that is powered by the cape. I think that when Joe says, or Ezekiel, whichever, when he says that something like that would normally turn your brain to goop, like it just wouldn't happen. It's just not possible right now, right? I think that Natalie is somewhat inspired by the power that radiates off of the cape, because she did do the brain scanning thing after she met Parker, but like he said, I think something like that, the brain scanning would probably melt her brain.
I have a different take on that. I think it's something more technical, and not to like, say your theory couldn't be true. My thought process to it was, I just think Riri is smart enough to be able to accomplish things that other people aren't, and that's what happened with it.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could be, it's a theory that like it's probably not plausible, but it just keep that in the back of your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those like keep it back there, and we'll see how it turns out.
Hey, if you're right about it, I always come back around, like with the Mephisto.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like I'll reference it.
Of course. What you call it? Was there any other? You have any more? Any
more
more open thoughts?
One. I can say more than one in this one because one is kind of minor. You can see the Disney connection because we keep getting Star Wars references, like
Star. Actually, that's on mine. That's in mine too.
We got the Death Star reference, so you can see that connection. And then you can see that they're setting up, the big final fight between Riri and Parker, because you can see as things get further and further, their morals aren't aligning. So.
And you've seen the tattoos, right? You've seen how when the more he uses his magic powers, the more the tattoos go away.
Yeah. No, it's not. The tattoos aren't going away. It's just that the veins and like the scaly stuff is just spreading.
Oh,
so like he keeps trying to get more tattoos to cover it up as it keeps spreading.
Okay. So I read that wrong, because I'm thinking, what I was thinking was, because I was watching it and I was actually looking, because whenever they put a mirror in a show or a movie, there's a reason for it, right? Yeah. So I'm looking in there. I'm like, I had to rewind it like 3 or 4 times just to see if his reflection wasn't showing or something, and there was nothing there. But the so the tattoo thing, that's interesting. It's interesting.
Right. And then I have one more. So for Parker, I think that John dying now is gonna throw him into full villain mode, and now you saw at the end, basically whatever entity, which we think is Mephisto, it basically showed him the reason that John died.
Oh yeah, from the suffocating, right? But I think that it was for torment. I think it was trying to torment him.
That, and as well as showing him too, so he can cause more evil, because I think the more evil he does and the more killing he does, it feeds it.
So I guess we're gonna see, because that is an interesting take. I do think whatever entity it is definitely pulling the strings. And that was another thing, that what was their goal? My whole question from episode 1 really was, what was their goal? What is their goal when it comes to succeeding? It seems like it's not money, right? Are they got the money in the first episode when it comes to putting them on payroll and giving them all the assets that they might have needed to succeed. But what did they need to attack this guy for? The guy that they ran into, that they didn't succeed.
That was really,
he killed him.
That felt like it was ego, because you remember he was about to stop. He was about to listen to John, and then he heard the thing saying, the guy saying in the interview, we're not gonna let these basically mediocre, normal thugs or whatever, like take control of us, and that really got to him. So it felt like an ego thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait that one off and see what their motive is, because I think the motive for them is not strong enough. I think that that's probably one I should have probably put that in my dislikes, is that their motive is not apparent and is not strong enough when it comes to their goal.
I can see what you're saying with that. At the same time, I feel like the motive is something that can be saved for a further episode as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna hold off until they explain whatever the motive is. But I was going at I think that's why the big bad, whoever the demonic entity is using them is using them as pawns to exact whatever revenge, or because they mentioned revenge, right? They mentioned that he's getting revenge for something.
You know,
Parker.
You know that well, we know who it is. It ain't Dormammu.
Dormammu,
Yeah.
I've come to bargain.
Listen, bro. I'm telling you, Marvel has done it. I'm pretty sure they'll do it again. They're repeat offenders. I've seen it.
I don't know if you watch Agatha. You did.
I didn't watch Agatha, but I did. Because at the time I was gonna watch it, I think something else was on at the time. It might have been Invincible or something.
Are you gonna watch it, or is it okay if I give you spoilers?
No, you can give me a spoiler. I don't care.
So when I was watching that, I knew it was death. Like I knew that was the entity that was like I just knew, like it was pointing to all the signs, everything like that. So I feel like I'm on the right track again.
Yeah. So you're saying you think it's Mephisto for real?
Yeah, I do.
Listen, I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, the thing is, my question, the reason why I have doubts on it is because it's like, what is the motive? Why introduce Mephisto now, going into Fantastic Four, Secret Wars, Doom? You got to bring Kang back, right? You got to bring Thanos back to so that Doom could rip his spine out. Like, you got to do all of these things, all of these villains. Why would we bring? Is Mephisto gonna be delegated to a TV show villain?
No, you know what I think it is? Because Doctor Strange 3 is in the making. That's what it is.
That's a good point.
You give your rating. Give your rating for the
all right, bet.
third episode.
So for the third episode, I give it a 9 because I enjoyed the hell out of it. Okay. I think I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I wanted to see episode 4.
We on the same page.
Yeah.
I give it a 9. I give it a 9 too.
Yeah.
It was definitely, it was given what it needed. Like I'm kind of upset to have to wait now for the next couple episodes. But
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, not too long.
Yeah, that's how you know it was good.
I think.
Yeah, they doing their thing.
Yeah.
So far, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. This will probably conclude our review of episode 2 and 3. Glad to be here. Thank you for having us. Go ahead, if you can, hit that like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna come back with more episodes, more episodic content, more movies, covering the movies, and we just, we would love to talk about it with you, with everybody that is a Marvel fan, DC fan, whatever the case may be. If you have any questions or you have any theories, please put it down low, because we love to hear it. Like you see, I went on like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rants already. Like, we love the theories. So go ahead
Spider-Man, and that's our favorite thing to talk about. But we gotta chill. We gotta chill on it until we get there.
I'm telling you, like, we could spend 4 or 5 hours talking about Spider-Man comics and movies and shows and animated. Like, we could do that. But we would love to hear you guys hear every theory that you might have out there. But thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching up until this point, if you have. And we out. We'll be back.